Hey everyone, this is Dan with Data Trend. Today is Monday, March 28th, 2016. It's about 2:30 p.m. or so Mountain Time. The market's closed a half hour ago. So we had another relatively uneventful day out there. The market closed again, essentially unchanged here at 2037 change. It was up 1.05%. So we've had essentially 3 days where the market has gone pretty much nowhere. We had a little bit of a sell-off on, this would actually be the Wednesday candle here, and then Thursday we sold off even further, but both days we were able to come back up, and we've been just ending right in the neighborhood of this 2036 level or so for the past several days, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, or Wednesday, Thursday, and Monday rather. So we continue to kind of sit in here, and it's sort of a neutral to slightly bullish pattern, I'd say. We are sitting right above the rising 10-day simple moving average. We're below the declining 5-day simple moving average, but there's not really much price movement happening here at all. One of the things that is interesting to point out, and I mentioned this in the weekend commentary as well, is that we have been seeing implied volatility tick up a little bit, even though the realized volatility continues to come off. So in other words, I guess what I'm saying here is this green line is implied volatility in the SPX, and we do see this ticking up. There's some premium coming back into the options. And at the same time, the 20-day realized volatility, historical volatility, whatever you want to call it, is continuing to contract. And I mean, we can see that here just from a price standpoint as well. The candles are getting smaller. They're not going anywhere. Nothing's really happening. And we have implied volatility ticking up a little bit. And so it's not to be predictive in any sense at all. It's just something to kind of file away, keep in the back of your mind that there is a little bit of premium coming into the options, even though the market's not going anywhere. So if we drop down to the 65-minute time frame, what we can see is we saw the market was traded up right into this 2040-ish level or so, and that also corresponded with the declining 5-day simple moving average. The market did kind of find some resistance there and sort of sold off. It really just kind of chopped around, to be honest with you. Would it be interesting tomorrow and as the week progresses is to see whether or not the market continues to hold up and above this 2025, 2020 level, something like that. If we saw a break there, maybe we'd see it come down a little bit deeper down into the 2010 neighborhood, and then certainly there's still this unfilled gap that we've been talking about for a while down here at 1995 to 1990 or so. And that would be a little bit deeper pullback. But even if the 2000 level was to hold on a longer term basis, we might see the market undercut it here and fill this gap nevertheless, just because it's so close if we had a pullback to the 2000. But for the time being, the pattern is still relatively sideways to slightly bullish. I have a couple of additional lines here on the chart, and we'll talk about those in just a minute. But the blue lines here, these are the expiration break-even points for the April 5 CIB. That trade is still fine. We'll take a look at it in a minute. There's not much to say other than it's just sitting there. It's been great to have the market just kind of sit around and do nothing for a few days. These lines, the price slices here, the price levels at 1950 and then up at 2040, these represent the expiration break-evens for the I believe it's June 1 SPX Broken Wing Butterfly that I showed on Thursday of last week. And so that trade was just open last week here on Thursday. So we're going to go ahead and start just mentioning that as well in the daily video. I think it's, we might as well, and people have been emailing me. And so rather than, go into too much detail, we'll just go ahead and cover it here a little bit as well. So if we hop over, this is the April 5 CIB as it sits. So we have the two flies. One is centered at 1990. The other is a split strike centered at 2020, 2025. The market closed here at 2037.05. The delta of the trade is negative 7.88. Gamma is negative 0.07, about 2471 in theta. The Vega is negative 80.26, and the open profit on the trade now is, I just want to make sure I was on the right day. Yep, 328. The open profit on the trade is about $172 or so. So we're coming into profit a little bit. Obviously, if we get a pullback down here, that would certainly help the position. The first adjustment that I'm thinking about making to the trade, if we do get a pullback, is going to be just to reverse Harvia and to roll in these longs. So it'd be moving the 1930 lower put to 1935, and then also the 2080 to 2075, and so we do that by selling this condor, the 2080, 2075, 1935, 1930. And if we were to do something like that, It's trading here at 260 right now, but you can see it would cut down our delta a little bit. It would give up some of the theta, but we would have more protection on the upside. The T plus 0 line would hit the 0 line instead of at, let's see, somewhere in the neighborhood of about 2055. Instead, it would hit it up in the 2060s or so. So we'd have a little bit more protection on the upside. I am trying to let a little bit more profit build up inside of the trade before I go ahead and do something like this, but it's something that I've been eyeing. I've actually had an order sitting for a couple of days to sell this for a $3 credit, but I haven't been filled on it. As you can see at the close here, it's trading 260, and when we had a couple of these pullbacks here, like on Thursday, for example, it was getting a little bit closer to getting filled, but it didn't quite get there. So if we had a deeper pullback to the 2000 area and filled that gap down around 1995, we would definitely be looking for some sort of an adjustment, excuse me, to protect the upside in the trade. So if we go over, we're going to hop over now and take a look at the broken wing butterfly. And so it's this, the SPX June 1 broken wing butterfly. And so the trade was started at, I believe, let's see, 72 days to expiration, 72-ish days to expiration, something like that. It's at 67 right now. So at this point in the trade, there's really nothing to do. In general, I'm sort of letting these sit here for the first little bit of time, say 7 to 10 days or so, unless the market goes crashing lower. I'm just kind of letting them sit and play out. And so we'll let the market trade way up here, even if we got a big push up to 2070, 2080. It's still in a situation where I wouldn't do anything with the position. So the trade as it sits today at 2037, the delta is negative 0.68, the gamma is negative 0.02, the theta is only 382. But we're only in the first butterfly we're going to add to this trade eventually. The Vega is negative 30, and the open profit's about $15. So you can see it has a relatively wide range that it can travel in here without really taking any heat, and that's sort of a nice feature of it. This trade was entered for a 235 debit last week on Thursday, so it's just kind of hanging out and not really doing anything right now. But if we day step the position forward, what you see is that the T plus 0 line actually rises pretty considerably even outside of the tent. So we'll let the market continue all the way up and get a little ways away from the body of the butterfly before we even do anything on the upside. But for the time being, it's just going to sit here and we'll see what happens. When we jump back over to the trade here, 1950 is the lower side. So down in this neighborhood is where we'd be looking to roll the position lower. The market has a little ways to go before it gets there on the upside. We're talking about 2080 to 2100-ish, somewhere like this on the upside before we start worrying about making an upside adjustment to the trade. So at any rate, that's all I have for today. Both of the positions are looking pretty good. If you have any questions, of course, feel free to shoot me an email, info@thetatrend.com, and thanks for watching.